Hi, my name is Effie Davis, International Artistic Director for Tony Guy London and Label M. Today I'm going to be working for a brand new collection, Futurewise, and it's actually a progression of our triptych. In this case, this year, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working with interlocking sections. And the interlocking section I'm going to be working with today is the angles. The shape I'm going to be working on today is going to be a mid-length step haircut that takes inspiration from the 1920s revival in the 70s. I'm going to be working with quite a few blunt lines, so working quite blunt at the back, beautifully beveling it at the back in order to actually reduce all the weight around the perimeter line, placing a very strong line around her cheekbones and gently removing some of the weight. And then with the front, our focal point is going to be the fringe, and of course is going to be our interlocking section at the back, where I'm going to have soft layers hugging the head shape beautifully coming down. So let's have a look of the step by step.
To begin the sectioning pattern, a profile parting is taken from the centre of the forehead to the centre of the nape. Then, a triangle section is placed around the front hairline to isolate the existing fringe. Two triangle sections are then placed across the head, interlocking at the centre of the crown. The first section to work on is at the back of the head. A one-length technique is worked through the fingers, starting at the centre of the nape with a 2-inch section and then cut with 1 finger's depth, blunt cutting the line square. The perimeter is completed with a slight concave shape to maintain a little more length around the corners. Next, working with parallel vertical sections at the back area, a layering technique is used to remove some of the strength from around the perimeter. A centre profile section is taken, the hair is elevated 90 degrees to over-directed and blunt cut vertically square to take off the edge of the corner. Continue taking parallel vertical sections, each time cut to the base. The last 2 sections are over-directed back to the widest part of the head in order to achieve more length around the corners and a visual balance within the concave baseline. The same technique is repeated on the opposite side, working with parallel vertical sections and maintaining the same elevation and distribution. Just notice the change of finger positioning. Now the side panels are released and the hair is combed to natural fall. The section is separated then from front to back on the top of the ear using a radial parting. The hair at the back is combed again to natural fall, elevated at 1 finger's depth and blunt cut to follow the guide from behind. Reaching the focal area, the hair in front of the ear is combed to natural fall with a low elevation and is blunt cut square to create a disconnected graphic step. This is repeated on the opposite side. The balance is visually checked. The interlocking section is used to add softness within the perimeter, as opposed to adding disconnected strength. A profile section is taken and elevated 90 degrees to over-directed and cut, slightly increasing in length through the top. This section is then subdivided into pivoting diagonal forwards. The hair is split in two, working from the bottom up, elevated 90 degrees to over-directed, and cut, slightly increasing in length. This interlock section creates a gentle overhang on the one-length shape below. Continue working with pivoting diagonal sections until reaching the last section within the interlocking area. The subtle disconnection here will overlap the strength in the perimeter. The same technique is repeated through the opposite side, keeping the same elevation and distribution, just altering the finger positioning. The hair is cross-checked for balance. Through the top, the sections are worked with slight diagonal forwards, elevated 90 degrees to over-directed towards the face. Then using the guide from the step on the sides and allowing it to overlap by about an inch longer before cutting it from longer to shorter. This is kept to give you optional length, so you can decide if you want to add softness to the perimeter or to cut it for a more graphic result. This Futurewise look is a mid-length shape with a strong focal point at the fringe and the sides. The graphic step emphasises the cheekbones and the shape of her neck. Repeat the technique with continuous parallel sections, all of them travelling onto the stationary guide. Make sure your body position stays in front of the model. The fringe is then blow dried to allow natural lift through the root area and is then cut from dry. A horizontal parting is taken to subdivide the fringe, and a freehand blunt cutting technique is used, working the blade along the model's skin to create a graphic, strong shape. The remaining hair is combed down and the guide is followed. After the shape was cut and coloured, a combination of Label M gel and leave-in conditioner is applied to the hair before blow drying. This combination smooths the hair, instantly locking in moisture, with the gel creating a long-lasting hold and humidity control. The hair is blow dried using the Label M grooming brush to smooth out the cuticle. The optional overhanging length that was left during the layering technique is measured and then blunt cut following the guide to give a structure to the step. The hair is just rested on the fingers, so no tension is created, just a slight elevation. This achieves an element of softness in the line. To personalise, a deep parallel point cutting technique maintains the existing shape but removes the weight internally. Deep parallel point cutting is a very gentle texturizing technique. It reduces weight without disturbing the actual texture of the hair. This personalizing technique is used throughout the perimeter, visually connecting, technically disconnecting. The shape is visually checked, then the large Label M curling tongue is worked to create movement within the finish. To complete the look, Label M Shine Mist really enhances the colour. The Label M weightless hairspray is used with the grooming brush to loosen the shape and provide a long-lasting hold. This is the finished technique for the Futurewise Interlocking Angles haircut. The interlocking angles focal point adds softness within the internal shape by creating a slight overcut that overlaps the strength in the perimeter. The influence behind this shape was taken from the 1970s beauty industry, which saw a revival of 1920s looks. This, added with the male glam rock attitude of the era, completes the inspiration for the technique.